Hi, everybody. This is Jimmy DeYoung with Prophecy Today Video. We're glad to have you along. I want to remind you that we look at current events in light of biblical prophecy. And on today's program, we're going to focus on political leaders and how they are setting the stage for Bible prophecy to be fulfilled. I have broadcast partners around the world that report on current events and how world leaders are making decisions today that will actually affect tomorrow. On our website, you can listen to the recent interviews that I had while doing a nationwide radio talk program where we talk with these broadcast partners and we look at geopolitical activities, the Middle East, the European Union, and even out there in the Far East. Go to our website, prophecytoday.com, PTRN, and you can listen to all these interviews. One of the interviews that you'll be able to hear is that of Colonel Bob Maginnis. He's in the Washington, D.C. area. And I asked Bob Maginnis about the government of Iraq. Iraq will play a key role in the end times, and I've just heard that the radical cleric Muqtada Sadr is going to endorse the present prime minister of Iraq. And I wonder, Bob, will this help bring the Iraqi government together?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. Maliki is a Shiite, and he is, of course, the head of one of the major Shiite parties. Sadr is a power broker, would like to see a Shiite as much as Tehran would in Baghdad, and they don't want Alawi, who of course ran on a secular ticket, to bring the Sunnis into power. This goes back to the age-old Sunni-Shia Kurd battle in that divided country. What's surprising, Jimmy, is that just in the last couple of days, the Iraqi election has just broken a world record, and that is it's the longest time since the election before a government has been formed. The Dutch had it beforehand at 209 days, and now the Iraqis are the proud holders of that world record, and it doesn't look as if you're going to have resolution anytime soon.
Colonel Bob Maginnis from Washington, D.C. Dr. Rob Congdon covers the European Union for us. And Rob, actually, there's been some jockeying for power position in the European Union. The chief of foreign policy for the European Union is Catherine Ashton. But meanwhile, President Sarkozy of France, these two are involved in competing to see who will play a major role or a more significant role as far as the Middle East peace process is concerned. Is that a pretty good observation?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, France's President Sarkozy has joined in also urging that they have to deal with the settlements, and he's even offered to meet with the Palestinian authorities and Israel next month. So he's jumping in and actually trying to eclipse Obama on this. So we have all the major leaders of Europe starting to speak out. The only one who hasn't has been Merkel of Germany.
Is Sarkozy trying to usurp power from Catherine Ashton, or is he just playing his role as a leader of a country?
I think a little of each. He's trying to show his leadership as part of France, and always remember the EU, one of its big struggles is to pull together as a single voice, and we have always France and Germany trying to show that they are more of the leader, and therefore they're in competition with Catherine Ashton. There's no question about that. At some point, we know it has to be resolved, but right now we're seeing this competition of who's the one speaking for Europe.
Dr. Rob Congdon covering the European Union for us here on Prophecy Today Video. David Dolan is our man from his vantage point in Jerusalem who keeps us on top of what's going on. David, actually the European Union and the United States have been applying pressure on Israel to continue the moratorium on the building in the areas of Judea and Samaria and even the eastern section of the city of Jerusalem. But I'm wondering, is this not backfiring? This is giving strength to the Palestinians. David, is this allowing the Palestinians to take a strong stand against Israel and hindering the possibility of a peace agreement coming together?
Well, Jimmy, again, we did not have under Bill Clinton or George W. Bush a demand from the White House that Israel cease settlement building as a precondition for resuming the talks, but we basically did get that out of Barack Obama. So that set the beam. The beam was set very high, and how can the Palestinians be less Catholic than the Pope? So if that's the U.S. president's stand, then, of course, they adopted it readily. And, Netanyahu pointed out, hey, you sat and talked with Olmert, you sat and talked with Ariel Sharon, you sat and talked with Barak and Yitzhak Rabin, and et cetera, Perez. Why now? Why does this have to be a precondition now? And it's because the White House said it, and so now they're finding, it may boomerang back on them, and it seems unlikely at this stage that there's going to be anything that might help the electoral position of the president in the next 2 months anyway, or the next month, as these talks are going nowhere very fast.
David Dolan with our Middle East news update from his vantage point in Jerusalem, Israel. What I'm talking about, political leaders working their agenda to try to accomplish their goals. That's what we have been discovering unfolding as we've talked with our broadcast partners here on Prophecy Today. Well, as we witness, this has happened, and we want to remind you that God established human government, and down through the years He's used human government, and He will in the future do that again. Let's talk about when God established human government. It was some 4,500 years ago, the book of Genesis chapter 9 and verse 6. There he told Noah and the 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their 4 wives, now you're the only 8 people left on the earth after the flood. I want you to be fruitful, multiply, and repeople the earth. But we're going to establish human government. Should someone kill somebody else, it's called capital punishment. They will have to give their life because of basically blasphemy against God Himself. The Creator does not want His creation killed. That is a process that would cause Him to develop human government. And the highest form of human government is capital punishment. That's exactly what was established. Human government established, it's one of the 3 institutions. He established marriage, Genesis chapter 2. He established the local church, Acts chapter 2. But human government is how He sets this world in place and accomplishes His will. That was established some 4,500 years ago. But God, down through history, has used human government. I could give you a number of examples. Let me just think about a couple with you. For example, the Egyptians kept the Jewish people in bondage for 400 years. Abraham was told that would happen when Jesus Christ, in a pre-incarnate appearance, met with Abraham to give him the Abrahamic covenant, Genesis chapter 15. He told Abraham that his people would be in a foreign land for a 400-year period of time. That's exactly what happened. The Lord did use the Egyptians to take the Jewish people out of their promised land for a 400-year period of time. What about the Babylonian captivity? The Jewish people failed to obey the Lord. Leviticus chapter 25 says that God wants the land of Israel rested every Sabbath, every 7 years. He said, I'll give you enough in the 6th year to take care all the way through the 8th into the 9th year, but I want this land rested every 7th year. Well, the Jewish people did not do that, so God raised up Nebuchadnezzar to take the Jewish people out of the land of Israel for a 70-year period of time, so then it could get its Shabbats. Then he raised up another world leader, Cyrus, the head of the Medo-Persian Empire. This is the book of Ezra, chapter 2, to allow the Jewish people to come back into the land. Chapter 1, he says, Cyrus speaking, I have been chosen of God to allow you Jews to return to Jerusalem to rebuild your temple. In chapter 2, it tells how he sent about 50,000 Jews back into the land. God using human government. What about General Titus? He was the son of the Roman emperor at the time, and the Roman emperor, Vespasian, was the most powerful man in all the earth. Well, God had to let Jesus Christ tell the Jewish people that indeed they would be scattered to the 4 corners of the earth if they were not obedient to him in 70 AD. That's exactly what happened. And God, again, using the Roman emperor, the most powerful man on the earth, to have his son, General Titus, to devastate the city, destroy the temple, and disperse the Jews to the 4 corners of the earth. God has, through history, used human government. God will indeed use human government in the future as well. The Bible tells us in the book of Revelation, chapter 17, there will be a one-world religion. And the one-world leader, the emperor of the world, if you want to call him that, the Antichrist, will be the one who sets up this one-world religion in the city of Rome. Again, God using human government. That government that he puts in place under Antichrist will destroy that church, and that's found in Revelation 17, verse 16. There will be an alignment of nations. The Bible talks about in Ezekiel 38, Daniel 11, also Psalm 83, that will come together to try to destroy the Jewish people, and God will use that to show the Jewish people that He is God. They will recognize that He is God, according to the book of Ezekiel, which says that a number of times. And of course, Revelation chapter 18 is economic Babylon. It's the location where the economies of the world will be operated out of. People will have to have an identification mark on the forehead or the back of the hand to be able to buy or sell. Human government today is setting the stage for Bible prophecy to be fulfilled. This broadcast basically helps us to see how the Lord is doing all of this. Revelation 17:17 says, God puts in the heart of human world leaders His will so that His will be accomplished. The end times stage is set for all of Bible prophecy to be fulfilled. And that's exactly what we have looked at today on this broadcast. But let me just remind you, the next event, the next prophetic event to be fulfilled, the rapture of the church when Jesus calls us to be with Him. And basically, having said that, there's nothing less for me to say except let's keep looking up until